Episode 14, guys. Let's see what we have on the menu for today. The next Zelda game, we are going to make some predictions about that, the old Nintendo tax, and if it's real or not, and also our favorite Nintendo moment from 2017. Let's get it started. What's up, guys? Episode 14 of the Planet Nintendo podcast. What is up? And Bobby, I'm all over the place.
You're a mess, dude. Come on, this is horrible. Like, I understand your boy toy isn't here today, so you don't have someone to glare into his eyes and like make googly eyes and all that stuff. And I get it, I understand, but stop. It's okay.
It's funny because we know that Joe streams late, and he's gonna see this recording and he's gonna be pissed. He's gonna be like, "Damn it, I missed it."
Exactly.
But yeah, we're going back OG, back to the NintenTalk live days. Me and
yes.
Dude, that video came up on my feed the other day of when I first came on your show, man, and that was some awkward conversation.
Really?
I was just so new and just intimidated by that whole thing. It was pretty funny. I watched a little bit.
You were in the presence of greatness, my friend.
I was.
And that was the problem. You didn't know what was happening. You were like, oh, this guy, this Nintendo guru, he is amazing. And I don't blame you at all. I understand it. No, it's not easy to do. Like the whole live thing. Like for me now, it's whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was a time, man, where it was like, oh, I don't know that I could do this. Like this is not easy, and it's something you just got to work through. But it's fun, man. I like to go back to listen to the conversations because I feel like the conversations, especially with the early going of NintenTalk Live, were really good.
Yeah.
I kind of last night decided to kind of push back to that because what I would do is I would always ask these a couple of questions and kind of let the conversation flow from there. And it was, what was your first Nintendo console? Or what was your first gaming console? What was your first Nintendo console? And what was the first Nintendo console you bought with your own money? And that basically would kind of start the flow. And it feels like recently, I brought on some bigger name people, and I've gotten away from that. And I want to kind of get back to that because I feel like those three questions are really intricate because it kind of tells me immediately where I am with this person. In terms of
exactly.
Are we on the same level of Nintendo? Or are we not? And the funny thing is, a lot of times what you'll find is people just were hardcore Nintendo fans at the early age, and then they just lost their way. And, and they're just starting to come back now with the Switch, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting.
So, a bunch of games came out this past week. I think one of the biggest ones in terms of indie games is Tales of Blossom. And I know that you've personally played this game. I have not yet, just time's sake. Yeah. Tell me about this game right now.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, Toby and I are actually going to do a discussion video on it, a first impression discussion video. And because we're both huge, our favorite Zelda game is Link to the Past. Yeah. Breath of the Wild is right there nipping on the heels, for me anyway. Him, different story. But this game so far is just basically shattering A Link to the Past.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So good, man. And it's, it's not really spoilers, but, you start the game off, and it's basically a grandfather with his two grandchildren, and he's telling them a story. Mm-hmm. And starts off, he's going to tell them a story about Link and Zelda.
Oh.
And he's like, have I ever told you about the legend of the great land of... And he starts to say Hyrule, and he says... And they're like, oh, we've heard that a bunch of times. And then he starts to tell a different story, and he tells this other story, and it's and the cool And cute thing is like you'll be playing the game and you'll get to a part and then you'll see the bubbles popping up where he's telling the kids the story. And it's just
Oh,
so good, man. It is well written. It's really it's if you don't have this game and you're a fan of top-down Zelda games, this is the premier best top-down Zelda game ever. Like it crushes Oceanhorn, crushes
oh yeah.
It'll Do.
Wow.
It's just it takes It'll Do 2 and just puts it in the trash can, and it's like you
Wow.
stay there. Like this game is the best. Like it
Damn.
is awesome.
And it's been out a while on Steam, and I saw something. I think it was on Twitter the other day. It's already outsold the entire Steam like lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, didn't you put that kind of game on a Nintendo console? Like, we're gonna support it either
Oh,
way.
it's amazing, man. It really is. And if you don't own it, go get it, man. It is seriously, it's a great game. And
That's awesome.
and the thing is like Toby and I are going to do this first impression video, and the one thing is we both bought this game. There's a lot of people out there doing reviews of the game, and they were giving free copies. Toby
Yep.
and I went and bought it with our own money because we're fans of the series. Not the series, but like the Zelda, top-down Zelda. We're fans of that type of game. So we went and bought it with our own money, and like immediately we messaged each other like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "I was like, we need to talk about this." He's like, "Yes, we do." And we're like, "Let's just do this, man." And so we did a discussion video review last week of Rive. We kind of liked how that went. So we're going to do it again this week. It'll be probably Thursday. It'll come up on my channel. And but man, it's if you don't own the game, go get the game. Seriously.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So kind of staying in the same like Zelda-esque vein. I was gonna do kind of like a predictions for the next Zelda game because we're getting to the end of the year and we're kind of finding out that certain games are done completely with support. I believe it was on the new Nintendo Power podcast where they're kind of just that's all they're gonna give for Breath of the Wild. They're gonna kind of stop support, which you kind of have to give them a little credit because they could have milked this thing for like another
easy year too, no doubt.
So
because they could have legit put like a gigantic expansion pack. Like they could have worked the next year and this coming fall, in 2018 fall, put out like a gigantic expansion pack and been like, here you go, here's more, but they didn't.
Like a season 2 DLC, I definitely could have seen that.
Well, like you look how they did The Witcher 3. Like they come with these gigantic expansion packs that were huge portions. Like it was almost like a quarter of the game back again.
Yeah.
So they could have done that easily, and I guarantee you, I would have bought it. If they would have given me something like that, I'd have bought it in a heartbeat. Because I bought what we got. It's not the best.
Yeah.
In hindsight, like I'm playing through it, I actually got bored of it. And I was just like, I'm not going to finish it. I'm just, I'll go back eventually at some point. But I just wasn't like so drawn in. And I was like, I got to beat it. I got to finish it. So
yeah. I mean, they'll definitely come out with like the Game of the Year edition and stuff like that. But it's done getting new content, which I mean. But I wanted to ask you, and we're kind of go to the next Zelda game and kind of make our predictions, some things that we would want to see. I guess I just started off with 3D or no, top down or another expansive like 3D game. For me, I don't know. I want to say 2D, but at the same time, dude, like I want them to create another giant world like that. And I feel like the days of linear Zelda are I don't know how you can go back to linear Zelda now. It's just
they're not going to. They're not going to go back to linear Zelda. Even if you played A Link Between Worlds, they took that linear part away by basically spoilers. You could rent tools. You could rent equipment, or you could buy it outright and own it. And it was expensive to buy outright, but you could rent the equipment, and if you died, you lost the equipment, you have to re-rent it and all that. But it allowed you to go into they also allowed you to go into any dungeon first. Didn't matter. I feel like that's the way a top-down is going to be from now on, and then I feel like this is the way they're done hand-holding. I think they learned that the fans don't want the hand-holdiness anymore, and they'll be done with that for a long time. So for me, I feel like I need a top-down Zelda.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying I'm playing Blossom, and I'm like, whatever. But I would, if you gave me a choice of playing Blossom or you gave me a choice of playing a brand new top-down Zelda, I want the brand new top-down Zelda. Because as much as other people do good work, nobody does Zelda like Nintendo. So, that said, for me, I feel like I need a palate cleanse of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to not go back into it. I'm not ready to go back into a giant open world game.
Yeah.
As much as I like Xenoblade and I was liking Skyrim, that's not what I want right now. And these smaller indie games are what's kind of still fleshing out and getting me away from Zelda. I spent so much time in Zelda in that open world that I'm like, I love it, but I just want to, before I go back to Hyrule in that realm, I like a little space. Now, that said, I don't feel like it takes that long to do a top-down game. So we could potentially get a top-down game in the next 3 years. And then by that point, then I'll probably be really ready for an open-world Zelda game. And I think we'll be probably getting... Because I think right now what it is we've got two teams. We've got two Zelda teams. We've got the 3DS team, which did the top-downs. They're probably working on like a really high-def HD top-down Zelda game. And then you have the team that just did Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, the open world.
Yes. 3D Zelda games. And I think that team is already started on the next one. And the 2D one has been working on a top-down one.
Yeah.
So I think we'll get the top-down one in a year or two. And then after that, we'll get the open world one. And that's what I want from Nintendo right now. I want like every 3 years, 2 to 3 years, a new Zelda game and flip-flop. Go back and forth, back and forth.
What was that one on GameCube? It was like, was it Four Sword Adventures or something, where there was like co-op?
Yeah, there was Four Sword Adventures, and then there was Triforce Heroes also. They just did it as well for the 3DS. They're alright games, but I don't want those.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I have a feeling that I don't know, they're I don't want them to push multiplayer.
I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I'll be honest with you. If they would have made the game a little bit harder, and we could have like adventured together through Hyrule, dude, I'd have been all for that.
Yeah.
Like if you and me can link up and be like, hey man, let's go take out these Lynels. And like maybe you go into a camp and there's a bunch of Lynels there. Or whatever. Like, that would be awesome. Or you go into, you tackle a Divine Beast together. Like, ramp it up a little bit. Like, hard mode. Like, you got Master Mode. Like, make that where you can be co-op or multiplayer. Honestly, man, I'd be all for that. That, to me, like, maybe that's an end game thing. Like, or maybe you can just play that way, and it's just more or less you're just going out with friends and you're tackling animals and beasts.
So you're talking about, like, a Breath of the Wild, like, co-op?
Yeah, man.
Damn.
I would be all for that. You know what I mean? Like, if they were to say, like, in a year from now, be like, hey, man, this is what we're going to do. You played Breath of the Wild. We're going to give you Breath of the Wild, whatever.
Yeah.
And
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, man. You're telling me you get a crew of 4, and you go through and you start, like, tackling new shrines that are, like, bigger, expansive, and all that stuff. Like, dude,
that would be giant.
It'd be awesome.
That would kind of be like on the Destiny kind of playing field, because you have like people that you do missions with. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Like an MMO, basically. So you just wouldn't have like a whole bunch of people. You would just have 4. But like if you were sitting there and you were like, hey man, we're OP, man. Let's go to the castle. Let's take out Ganon. Like, dude, that would be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
It'd be a lot of fun, man. It'd be a lot. I'd sign up for it. I'd be all about it, man.
I think top down. Like, you're right. Like, it's overwhelming playing all these open world games. And after a while, you're like, dude, I'm looking ahead, and I'm like, with Xenoblade too, like, I still haven't really carved any time out. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, dude, this is like an 80-hour game.
Yeah, man.
And you kind of get like discouraged. And yeah, like you were saying, that these indie games, they're nice. They're digestible. You can kind of go through them and feel somewhat accomplished. Whereas like these games, you're like, I have to put everything on hold to beat this giant game.
Man. It's not easy, dude. It's not easy to do. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's where Xenoblade. Like, I know Xenoblade, dude. That's at least a 100-hour game, at least. And that, and that's a very linear game. That's not open world. It has open world aspects to it and such, but it's very linear. And, dude, I don't have time right now for that. Like, I'm sitting there saying to myself, like, maybe February. You know?
Yeah.
Which I'm not, ultimately, that's why I wasn't going to buy the game at first.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I'm not going to really have time to touch it until February anyway. I got in. I got a taste of it. I love it. I think it's a great game. But you know what? I'm willing to put it on the shelf and wait for February. And then by that time, hopefully, we won't really have a whole lot going on. And I'll dive.
Yep.
Dude, dude, we got SteamWorld Heist coming next week. I want to play that again. Blossom. I want to beat that game. So I'm gonna put time in it. That's probably a 20-hour, maybe 30-hour game. Blossom. By the time you're done with it, I'm gonna dive in hardcore, especially this weekend, because my mom will be here. I can't stand her, so I want to get away from her. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I'll be able to spend some time playing that and all that. Like,
whatever gets announced in whatever direct
next week we'll get like another 15, 20 games, and the week after that another 30 games, and it's like, come on, man.
I gotta ask though, like, what are the chances we see like a Skyward Sword remaster though?
Well, here's the thing. What was it, about a month or two ago? Grezzo came out, and they put an ad out that they were looking for people that have experience building HD games.
Yep.
Because they're looking for someone to help them work on a legend of a game. The last time they did that was for Majora's Mask.
I see.
They remastered Majora's Mask, and they almost, to the word, said the same thing. So immediately people are just going like, man, they're working on an HD Zelda game. Now, they already did, or not them, but Nintendo has already done Wind Waker. They've already done Twilight Princess.
Mm-hmm.
What's left? And Skyward Sword is left, and that's the one. Now, my thing is this. I won't get excited for that unless they take the motion controls away.
Yeah, that's another I never played the game, and I mean, the Joy-Con could definitely like handle that, but I would love to see them just go to stick controls and just be like, I mean, some motion controls, they're going to want to sell that, but like, I'm hoping there's an option for it, but I could definitely see that happening. All right, so let's get into the first topic here. Bobby's favorite game in ARMS. This will be the last time probably, unless something comes up that we'll talk about this game. But this game is also confirmed that it is no longer getting support. Version 5.0 came out. Another character. I think some kind of evening of like the characters and stuff like that, but nothing major came out with this update.
Yeah.
So looking back on ARMS, it sold pretty well, but it was also at a time where we didn't really have much. 4 characters in total were released after the game. We got the new headlock mode. We got badges. I wanted to ask you, how are you going to look at ARMS looking back, and is this a success for Nintendo? Because it's their baby. It's their new IP. They pushed it pretty heavily with like kind of like an esports scene. I know that they had that big competition. Was that E3? Feels like a while ago.
E3,
yeah.
E3.
So yeah, I know that you weren't really into the game, but looking back at the game in a whole, as a whole, what do you think about ARMS going forward?
So I feel I'm of two minds. I feel like it's a big success for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
I think you put a new IP out there, it moves a couple million units. I think that's a success. You can't look at it any other way, but a success. Now, that said, the drop-off of that game was pretty quick.
Yeah.
There is a very hardcore base for that game. Like, you go in there, you're getting smoked. Those guys that are in there now, guys and girls that are in there now, are just brutal. Now, that said, I feel like bad timing on Nintendo's part. They put that game out 2 weeks later, Breath of the Wild DLC hits, and I went right back to Zelda, and I loved it so much that I actually went and completed the 120 shrines, and I spent like weeks in Zelda, and then I'm getting done, and then boom, here comes Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
I'm not putting anything above Splatoon 2. Like, that game, that's my jam, man. I play that game all the time, still play it to this day. So for me, it was like, hey, I appreciate what you did, ARMS, but it's not for me. And by the time I got into ARMS, the competition was already too far
Yeah.
for me. And I'm not great at fighting games, so I am not a huge like I can play Smash by myself and have a good time,
Hmm.
but unless there's something that like with Smash, what draws me in is the trophy hunting. I
Yeah.
love going and trying to collect trophies and get all that stuff and do all that stuff. Now, with when you look at like Arms, there wasn't any of that trophy hunting per se. Like I love the whole like little trophies that look like amiibo, and I think that's what
Yeah.
got me so hooked on amiibo. And you could read the background of the character and the story and what games they were in and all that stuff. And it's just not Nintendo characters; it's third-party characters, and it's like everything, man. And I love that part of it. So that's why I play so much of Smash. But I
Hmm.
don't play against people because I get crushed and it's difficult and it's frustrating. So for me, Arms really didn't lend anything for me.
Yeah.
If you're into fighting games, I can't see this not being a fun game for you. Honestly, I think it tickles that itch or scratches that itch that you have. But I think ultimately, I think it was a success. I think there will be an Arms 2
Hmm.
because of the numbers, and then I think we'll see the true gauge of what Arms is about and what it can do.
Yeah. I
But
mean, with Splatoon, like you're getting the second one, and you're like, okay, this community is still alive
oh
and
yeah,
well, and but Arms for me, like I feel like it's tough for a fighting game to have like a long life.
yeah,
You're always gonna get those like hardcore fans, but I don't know. It's so linear, and there's really not a lot to the game to keep me like playing it month after month.
yeah.
Um, I think the game that we have now, if that released when it first came out, like the 4 characters, the different modes, the badges and stuff, I think we may be even having a different conversation. But dude, the timing, man, that game got screwed. I don't
Yeah.
know, like to have another multiplayer game in Splatoon, even if Arms and Mario Kart switched and Arms came out, what is
Yeah,
it, April or something?
but Patrick, you just said it perfectly. Why couldn't they release Arms in January? Right now,
Yeah,
this coming January. They could have been like, this game is coming, hyped it up, had all this time to hype it, and you have, in theory, we don't know because we haven't heard anything in a while, but you don't have anything coming in January, right?
yeah,
Drop that game in January, and boom, there you go. And give the package that they just released. So you put out that thing with all those characters. I feel like where they made the mistake is they tried to make Arms a Splatoon. They
yeah,
saw the success they had at a Splatoon, and that worked because of the fact of like it's a shooter. It's
hmm,
it's different. You can't take that shooter style drop of DLC and put it with a fighting game. The other problem is because here's the thing with a fighting game, there's so much more balances that have to be done. There's
yeah,
balancing things that have to be done with that. The problem is that they did that, but they also kind of like let it die. Like I was expecting the Splatoon treatment. Like, hey, here's this skeleton game, and like every week we'll get something. Like Splatoon, every week we're getting something. Whether
yeah,
it be a new weapon or a new map or whatever it might be, we're getting something. They didn't do that with this. And I feel like that's where they dropped the ball. Even if they just put new maps or new arenas, and be
yeah,
like, hey, you're going to fight here this week or you're going to fight here this week. And it's like, if they would have released the game now with everything they've given us throughout the time and go, this is it. Here you go. This is Arms. There is no DLC. We might drop a character in maybe in 6 months to a year, whatever. Yeah. But this is the game and go. I think it's a different tale and it's a different game. And I think with nothing really truly big for Nintendo to play in January, I think you would have had more time. I think you would have had more success with it. Who knows? I think it would have been a different tale if you would have put it in a different.
I mean, they have that. I don't even know what it's called, but it's kind of like a Splatfest where they put 2 different characters up against each other.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, it's just like it just feels like a Splatoon like template,
and that's just basically what I'm saying. That's what it feels like. It feels like they're trying to take what worked with Splatoon and apply it to something else. And I don't feel like that's going to happen. Like, don't do that. Don't try to just. Splatoon was lightning in a bottle, man. That was just perfect timing. Everybody wanted it. It worked. Don't try and go, oh, it worked here. Let's put it here because it's a new IP. Because I love the character designs of the Arms characters. I think they're very unique. So for me, I look at it and I go like, man, this is kind of special.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just keep it separate. Do something different with it, you know?
It's going to be interesting to see if we do get a sequel. I mean, and I know it sold well, and the easy answer would be like, yeah, it's going to get a sequel, but it's a fighting game, and if they come out with Smash maybe like a year from now, I don't know why they would release Arms 2. I would like to see it. I mean, a lot of people are enjoying it.
You're also talking like Arms 2 would hit in a year or two. I don't think Arms 2 is going to hit for at least 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So, and I think Smash is probably going to hit in about 3 years. So I think that's a different area where we're at. But yeah. I definitely can. I'm telling you, man, I think we'll get an Arms 2. I don't think there's any. Nintendo saw the success of that. I mean, again, you sold 2 million copies. That's a big. When you're sitting in the boardroom and you're going like, "What are we going to do?" Well, this game moved 2 million copies. It's a lot, man. It's a lot of copies. Regardless of what people think, 2 million copies is a lot of copies. Especially when at the time there was, they didn't have all the units of Switches out there that are out there now. That thing sold 1 million copies right off Jump Street, and there was only the attach rate was like 50-60%. There was like 2 million. There was 2 million Switches in the wild at that point, maybe 2.5 million, and they moved 1 million copies. That's saying something, man. That's saying something. So we'll see.
Farewell, Arms. All right. So we're gonna go into Joe's topic, and he's probably gonna be a little bummed that he wasn't a part of it. But
man, Joe, wake up, man. Wake up, Joe.
So I'm gonna read Joe's topic word for word. He says, "Is it good business towards consumers/gamers when a game releases on Switch yet sees a massive discount on all other platforms it's been released on for a severely reduced cost?" So kind of going into the whole Nintendo tax thing. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's weird because you get games like Doom and Skyrim, which are full price. You can get them literally on Steam for like a third, more than that. Like you can get Doom right now at GameStop for like $15, $10. And it's weird because, it is more on Switch, and it's kind of like it's a new game for Switch owners. Yeah. But the release dates, they're never one-to-one. Like Doom just came out, whereas last year it came out like earlier in the year or something like that. So I feel like the prices are comparable, but the release dates aren't. And that's, I think, the frustrating thing for people. Bobby, what do you think about this whole mess?
I think everything needs to be taken with a grain of salt. I think everything is a per case situation. What I mean by that is, yes, Doom came out a year later on the Switch. Nobody even saw that coming, first off.
Yeah.
Second off, to see what they were able to accomplish, there's work that has to go into this. It's not a typical port. If it was a normal, straight, bare bones port, then I would go, okay, that game needs to be less money. But when you take into consideration that the cartridges do cost more money than the disc, when you take into consideration that they had to do extra work, they added motion controls to Doom. You know what I mean? There's Skyrim. They added motion controls to it. They added some special content to it. It's not a lot, but to me, I feel like they put extra time into it. Even Ukulele, even though I don't want to buy it right now, I'm smart enough to see and acknowledge that they put more work into it than they did on the other versions. So when it's something like that, I don't have a problem. The ones where I have a problem are when you look at like oh god, what's the one that just came out that's kind of like Animal Crossing? Oh, my mind just went blank.
That's kind of like Animal Crossing?
Like Harvest Moon.
Oh, Stardew?
Stardew.
Yeah.
That's a direct port. Nothing special about that. Why am I paying full price for that? That's the ones where I start to have an issue for it. Now, if they were to go, okay, we're selling this over here, I get that it takes a little bit of tinkering to get stuff going. But the developers that I spoke to, it does not take much to get games up and running on the Switch. It's like... Yeah. Like
it was Jules, it was like hours for one of his games.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not taking long for these guys to get stuff up and running. Dude, they had Zoink Games, they had Zombie Vikings up and running in a couple hours.
Wow.
That's a game that was running that was made for the PS4 and the Xbox One,
Yep.
and it was up and running on the Switch, no problem. Like it's like stuff like that. Like if they brought Zombie Vikings over, I would be like, I'm a little hard pressed if you haven't done anything additional to it to go, okay, here's $40 for the game, or here's $20 or something. I feel like when it's something that they've done something to legitimate, then okay. Like LA Noire, they added some stuff to it. You know what I mean? Like there's a handheld feature where you can touch. They had a touch screen to it. There's motion controls to it. It's a little different. It's a little different ball game. I feel like, but when it's almost a direct port, that's where I start to have the issue, and that's where I run into a bit of a problem. But like, there's people looking like, oh, they call it the Nintendo tax or whatever, and it's like, but also at the same time, do developers not get the right to charge what they want to charge? We're the ones that are buying it. So obviously, if we didn't buy the games, then it might be a different story. Like I have been on record to say, like, I'm not buying Yooka-Laylee till it goes on sale, and I will not buy it till it goes on sale. My thing is like when I look at it, like I look at like Jules, right? So Jules puts out Mutant Mudds Collection. Mm-hmm. If that was Bethesda would have charged $20, $10. It'd have been a $50 game, maybe $60 game.
Yep.
Jules charged $15, and it was $10 if you bought it before the game launched. Dude, Deluxe is an older game, but they put HD Rumble into it. They added some new graphics. He put new skin on mud blocks. Like, I know that he put work into that, and it took time to develop that. That was, yes, they got it up and running quickly, but they also added to it. So for me, I look at it and I go, okay, I don't mind paying for the work you did.
Yeah.
But when it's a direct port, no. Like Stardew Valley's a direct port. There's nothing additional to it. There's no change to it. By the way, it controls like I'm playing on PC.
Yeah.
So
it's like the definitive way. The one thing that the one game that I could think of when it first came out was Worms. I'm a giant fan of Worms. WMD I think is the newest game.
Yeah.
It released on Switch and it was $29.99, and the very next day, literally the very next day, I think it's Team 17 who makes it. They had like a flash sale on Steam, and it was like $3.99 on Steam.
And see, that's not right, man.
We see that. Like, it's not like Nintendo and PC are like two different worlds. Like, most people that play PC have a Switch. It's a very like, it's a good like accompaniment to it. But dude, the weird thing is the release dates. Like Yooka-Laylee coming all this time, Rhyme, which we talked too much about Rhyme. Yeah. So I also feel like games go on sale too fast, and by the time they reach our console, it's like, if you're looking to game on a budget, you probably shouldn't be a Nintendo fan.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Because I feel like you don't have to. Here's the thing. Again, you don't have to buy these indie games. Like, I'm curious what SteamWorld Heist is going to come in at.
Yeah.
I think they said it's a $20 game. I'm not, like, no offense. I love Image and Form. I don't know that it's worth $20.
I think it is going to be 20.
I don't think that it's worth $20. All you're doing is basically putting a compilation together, and it's a go. Like, that's just because you're putting it on the Switch, you didn't do any additional work. All you're doing is you're taking the original game, you're adding the DLC, and saying go. Okay, I don't feel like you've done anything to warrant me giving you the same price that I paid on the 3DS and I paid on the Wii U.
It would have been nice to have the first SteamWorld, because I just picked up the collection on Wii U, so for me, it's really not a buy for me.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to have the first SteamWorld, and I think that was like $15 on the Wii U.
Yeah, man.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's where, again, that's where I start to have the issue when you look at stuff, and it's like, what are you bringing to the table? And that's like to go back real quick, because you were like, oh, maybe you should be a Nintendo fan if you wanted to save money. I feel like we're the fools that dive in and buy these games up right away because we gotta have them day one.
Yeah.
You know, like a game like Mutant Mudds Collection, he did the work. I'm willing to give him the money. Game like Stardew Valley, did I really have to have that day one?
No.
No, I probably could have waited till it came down in price. You know what I mean? Yooka-Laylee, I don't have to have it day one. I'm willing to wait for it. You know what? I waited months for it anyway. So, It is what it
Even
is.
games like Rocket League.
Yeah.
Rocket League's on sale now. Like I look at the games on sale like tab, and it's like literally every game that I own. I'm like, shit.
Well, but again, here's like you look at a game like Rocket League, right? And I feel like that's warranted for them. Like, dude, they had to do a lot of work to get that game running on the Switch,
Yep.
to get it to run a solid 60 frames per second across the board. Because here's the thing, they also implemented crossplay, which for me, a game like Rocket League, you're paying for servers and all that. So
Yep.
when I look at it, you gotta take a minute, step back, and compare it honestly and fairly. With a game like Rocket League, again, they're paying servers. They optimized the game on Switch so it runs at 60 frames. Because here's the thing: if I'm running at 30 frames and someone's playing on Xbox and they're running 60, is that going to work? Is that going to play fairly? Like Rocket League is a fast, intense, fast-paced game. It's got to keep the levels high. So I feel like I don't have a problem giving Rocket League $20
Yeah.
at all. You know what I mean? So
Especially the time you're gonna put into it. It's like it's
but
endless.
a game like Jackbox, I'm not paying you $30-$40 for that.
No.
Not when I can get it for $3 on PS4. That's what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
a direct port over. You did nothing to it. There's no advantage for me owning on the Switch. I'm not giving you top dollar for it. I'll wait till you get it down to $2 over here. Overcooked. What was the reason for me to pay full price for Overcooked over here?
Yeah.
I only bought it because I wanted to stream it with my wife. But if I'm not in that situation, I don't go spend $40 on that game. You're insane. There ain't no way I'm doing that.
I'm waiting for the physical on that, which is another point. This whole thing of games releasing, and I know developers want to get their games out there, but then this whole thing about, we'll eventually release it as a physical thing. I mean, Overcooked is a small team, so like releasing it on physical, okay, I can see that like later on.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I don't want to double dip on most of these games. Like I'm a physical collector. Like I like getting my cartridges and stuff. But that's another thing, man. Like Ukulele, the developers are like, oh, we'd like to make a physical version, and it's like by the time that comes out, how many people are really going to spend another $40 on? Like that's not an $80 game.
No,
So,
exactly. And the thing is like if they were to be realistic with it and they go, all right, we charged you $40 for the original one, we'll charge 20, maybe 30 for this one, because you got to figure it's going to cost for shipping, it's going to cost for the box, it's going to cost for the cartridge and all that stuff. So if they charged 20 plus 10, I think that's an easier pill to swallow. I guarantee you when they put Ukulele out, it'll be $40 to $50.
Oh,
guaranteed.
Yeah.
I'm not spending it, man. Ain't no way, man. It ain't worth it to me.
So thanks, Joe, for the topic. Bobby, you have a two-parter. Why don't you?
Basically, like this is the final Planet Nintendo for 2017, and I kind of wanted to. I feel like a lot of people are doing this, and I'm doing it on a couple other podcasts as well. But I figure, you know what, I wanted to do it here as well. And 2017 is coming to an end. 2018 is on the horizon. So for me, it's what was your favorite moment of 2017, and what is one thing that you hope comes true or happens in 2018? So go ahead, Pat. Where are you at?
I think, well, obviously getting the Switch, I feel like that was a great moment. Like opening it up and realizing like, okay, the thing for me was turning it on and then putting it on the dock and seeing how fast it went on. Like I was blown away.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this whole channel, I think that was a big moment for both of us. I mean, we both like took off at like the same time.
Yeah.
Playing Splatoon with the viewers, like that was something I wasn't used to, like live streaming and having people like, when are you gonna live stream next? Like that whole feeling is just like overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
In terms of gaming moment, I have two. I have the typical when you're running out in the beginning of Zelda and you're just seeing this whole world, and then you're like, oh god, this is just the plateau, and you're seeing way in the distance, and that game, man, that moment, I couldn't do anything. I had to look at the whole game. And then also in Odyssey, I feel like the New Donk City, that 2D section, the celebration. Yeah, that was special, man.
Yeah.
So I think 2017. I'm gonna look back and dude, it was a fantastic year of gaming. The fact that we have too many games is something that I didn't think would be a problem this year.
Me neither.
But yeah, I think those are some of mine.
I
What
think
about you?
that I go back and I watch some of the stuff that I've done on stream and such. And January last year, when they did the reveal,
Yeah.
I took the day off. I took the next day off of work because I totally intended to like stand in line to get a pre-order.
Hmm.
Didn't happen that way, thank God. But I go back and I watch that stream, and it's got its highs and its lows. But the high is when they show that Zelda trailer at the end.
Yeah.
And man, that Zelda trailer, I would put it up against any trailer for video games as probably one of the best. Like I had chills. Even to this day, I go back and watch that trailer, and I'm just like, oh, it is so good, man. It is so played out, so amazing. My only downfall with that is I just wish they didn't show so much, because that
Yeah.
trailer basically spoils a lot of the cutscenes, which kind of sucks, you know. But
Yeah.
as well with you, like you come out of that cave the first time. Like I literally, when I got my Switch day one, Tony and we came home from work, and I picked my Switch up. We had two of them. Picked one up from Best Buy, and we got the other one delivered to the house from Amazon. And my Zelda wasn't here on day Amazon's. And I
Oh
was like,
no.
I'm like, no, we're going to GameStop. I'm going to buy Zelda now. So I went
Hmm.
to GameStop, picked up whatever I had on pre-order over there, and then also picked up Zelda. Came home, and she was like, at that time she was playing Fallout 4, and I was like, we have the two TVs side by side, and I was like, no, you are not playing Fallout 4 right now. We are going to experience this together. And like that coming out of the cave was just like so
Dude.
surreal, man. Just so amazing. Splatoon 2 for me is probably the greatest growth I've had on my channel,
Hmm.
because like you said, the community was rabid, and just like, dude, I had a tournament. I held a tournament on my channel, and literally we're in the middle of the tournament, and people are like, I want in, I want in, I want in, and I'm like, holy crap, dude, we actually had a tournament after the tournament
Yeah.
because people wanted to get in and be involved, and it was insane, dude. It was amazing. But honestly, you know, the moment is probably the channel explosion
Yeah.
for me. Like that is the most humbling thing in the world to me. Like to the people that I've got to hang out with this year and do shows with, and you know, all the shows that I do, like this show if we were at Nintendo and the Gaming Gurus and NintenTalk Live, like all that stuff is just unbelievable to see where it's come. It just it just was crazy to see where
Yeah.
we've come, and it's nuts, you know. And like I'm humbled by the outpouring and the people that have come to us and to be, like follow us and do all that stuff. Like there are some amazing people, and that's kind of a message from Joe.
Little too late there,
A
buddy.
little late there, buddy. We'll bring you at the end. Back off. No, but you know, it was just it's been a very rewarding year, man. It really has, as a YouTuber, and like just thank you to even to people that are watching this right now on your channel. Like you guys have really embraced me. I know it was touchy at the first couple episodes, but you guys have really like been awesome. You know, like
Yeah.
I look at JD, I look at Joey, I look at Aaron. You know, God, I'm missing people. I know I'm missing a bunch of people. Sparvy,
Crashy.
Crashy is amazing. I love Crashy.
There's so many awesome things that happen off stream and off air too, and
Yeah,
like
man.
people message me about this show and they're just like, dude, you're doing a great job, and like I tune in every week, like I know when to tune in. It's just awesome, like hearing that support for us, and like our channels, especially like the growth happened at like the same time. I came on your show at like 400 subs, and like a month later it was like
Pissed me,
1,000.
dude. And, like I literally would, you and I were like exploding at the same time. Like
Yeah.
I was getting like about 100 subs every 2 weeks, and you were gaining ground like insane. Like I was doing I was doing 100 every 2 weeks. You were doing 100 a week, and it was like all of a sudden, boom, we both hit, and then you passed me. You hit 1,000, and then I was right up on your heels, and I hit 1,000, and then you're at like 1,700 now, and I'm at like 1,200, and it's like, and but I'm so appreciative of everything and all the people, and it's like, you guys are amazing, dude. You guys, like, seriously, like, none of this happens without the people that watch us, and and I say it a lot, and but it's so true. Like, the fact that someone would take a minute to watch what I do.
Yeah.
Blows me away. So thank you to the people. What's the one thing you hope happens in 2018?
For Nintendo or
For whatever. Like yes, for gaming. Like in the
for Sony or
Nintendo podcast. Let's talk about GE. Do you think they'll put out a good refrigerator this year, Patrick? Like, what is wrong with you?
Honestly, I really, really like the month-to-month exclusive, and if they could keep that up, that would be really impressive to me. Because I'm on the fence, and I've been saying like 2018 guys, get ready because it's not going to be as good. But I hope they prove me wrong. Yeah. I'm expecting 2019 to be another comparable year to 2017. Mm-hmm. But I hope that they get a bunch of games out, and I hope that they revive some franchises. Like, dude, give us Animal Crossing, give us Pikmin, give us those games that we want. Mm-hmm. It would be nice to see a Smash just to get the community talking again and people away from the Wii U. I feel like there's only a select number of games that will keep people on. I'd like to see a Mario Maker. I know it's more ports, but I don't know, man. For me, dude, there's still like your boy Paul Lloyd still plays it, man.
Dude, he crushes it, man. He's got that niche, man. I'm over it.
But yeah, I just hope that they keep momentum. That's the biggest thing for me. Virtual console, I could really care less about, but if they do it, that'd be nice too. But for me, it's more keeping the momentum, keeping people interested in kind of what they're doing.
I want Animal Crossing, man. That's all I want. Yeah. If they can give me Animal Crossing in 2018, I can die in 2019 a happy man. I just want Animal Crossing. That's my thing, man. God, I missed that game. I want it so badly. I hope it hits. But again, yeah, I to echo what you're saying, like, I hope that they can continue the trend of month to month to month. It would be pretty awesome if they can continue to put that big exclusive game out every single month. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive to see what they did in 2017, and I just hope that they can carry that momentum into 2018. But yeah. So for me, the one thing is just Animal Crossing, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'd like to see the online, add some more features in, because I know that they're gonna like charge us next year. Yeah. So that's gonna be interesting too. But yeah.
Is that it? Is that all we got?
Bobby, say it. It's on your shirt, man. Say it.
That is all.
Thank you guys so much. Look forward to some more great content in 2018. Before we sign off, Bobby, why don't you sign off, man?
Dude, check me out. YouTube, Instagram, at Nintendo Gurus. Follow me on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Nintendo Guru.
You can find Joe after work. I'll do it for
him. Don't give him no props. No props. You don't got shows for the show and then get props. No, man. Go ahead.
Oh, we love him.
I know, we do. We love Joe.
Yeah, guys. Continued next year, we'll have some even more good shows, and who knows, maybe some more guests. We had Josh on earlier, but big plans for this show. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much for the support this year, and we will see you later.